This is a
Good evening.
Yes. Hello, Nate. This is a Street Epistemology call-in show. We're doing the floating ones anywhere around through the week, trying to see when people are available. And we have the fixed one on Saturdays at Pacific time, well, around noon. And the panelists are allowed to move it a few hours around depending on their own needs, things like that. So anyway, welcome. Hello, welcome, Rosemary. She's one of our regular panelists. You are, of course, welcome to jump right in on with us if you like. Let me make sure I have that. It's probably pinned, but I'm still going to spam it out into the comment verse regularly. Welcome, Nate. Who are you?
Hi, I'm Nate. I have just recently kind of gotten started in Street Epistemology. I've got a few videos on a new channel, and I've participated in a few of these live shows at this point. I did one on Dali's channel once, had a review show on my channel, and I was here for a call-in show last week, and here I am again. So
Here you are again.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Cool. I went to I'm Dali. I'm juggling lessons. You all know me if you're any kind of regulars in here, so don't even worry about it. It's the links in the description. I went to an air show. I wasn't on Saturday's show, so I figure y'all would want to see stuff like that. I also was processing pictures from a visit to Endeavor for the air show, and they went together, so I put them in the same folder. Anyway, if this becomes distracting and annoying and takes attention away from what we're really doing, let us know. Otherwise, it's just pretty pictures. If you're
some damage on the shielding there, was that?
Yeah. It was a little bit. Yeah, there's Endeavor was not spotless, which is
okay. It's been used.
It's been used. It's a used space vehicle. That one of my favorite kind that can be used and stay used and usable. Those are really good. Yeah. So the call-in show for Street Epistemology. Anybody is welcome to jump right in with us in the StreamYard, or if you'd like, you can comment about claims you would like us to discuss, or any questions around whatever Street Epistemology, as long as it's Street Epistemology is part of it. Let's see. Nate, do you have any claims that you would like to bring? Or would you like me to bring something?
Yeah, I had one that we evaluated last week. So I suppose if you've got one you'd like to have evaluated, I guess it could be your turn. If you'd like to. I don't know if I have anything in particular right now that I want to evaluate, but I could probably come up with one. I had the one last week about Donald Trump is guilty of treason.
Yeah.
That is something that I think I have some reasonably high confidence in. It's more of a political topic. I know we have a poll over there in the chat. So depending on where that goes, we could explore that one. Or if we got something else, that's fine too. And I can probably come up with something else too. But
I'm going to carefully not look at the poll until the end so that I don't get skewed for this show, and take it as feedback once everybody's had a chance to vote, so that the early people don't have more impact on my opinions than the later people. That's just how I want to address the data, personally, and that's whatever. That's my plan. I would love a political topic like that.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, we can explore that now while we wait for callers, or we could look at pictures of airplanes too. Is that?
Yeah, I think
that's also nice.
SE is mostly audible, and they can see our emotional reactions, and there's just some visual stuff, and you can ignore it if it's not turning you on. And it's just an air show. There's nothing special happened. Nobody crashed.
That's good.
It was all terribly happy in that sense. Okay, the claim would be Donald Trump has committed treason or is guilty of treason.
Either one of those is fine.
Is guilty of treason. Oh, this one's going to be rich for definitions.
I know. I think the definitions might be the trickiest part for my confidence, actually, too.
Excellent.
So
So the Donald Trump part, I think I have no question. You're talking about the guy, the blonde guy, kind of stout.
you might
Always,
have heard of him.
always talking shit. Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds like him.
yeah, that's the one. I might be hyperbolizing about all
Yeah.
these. Anyway, guilty of treason. Is this guilty in a strictly legal sense, or do you mean something like I could be guilty of something I couldn't be convicted of because reasons?
I guess I kind of see those as the same thing. I suppose
He had
that
lust in his heart toward her, so that was adultery. He's guilty. Not that kind.
no, yeah, like a legal thing. Like when I think treason, I think of like there's a legal definition of betraying and acting against the interest of your country.
Okay.
Like, at least like I which once again, I suppose that could be a big part of it, is that definition of treason. But as far as I understand, like treason is a crime you can commit and be found guilty of, just like, armed robbery or murder or whatever that might be.
Okay, so
I believe that there is a legal definition out there that I probably should look up.
Sure. And you don't mean in the sense of like the strict sense of having been found guilty and convicted, but
no. Clearly, he's not been convicted. We would have heard about that.
We would have heard about that. Yeah.
But I would say that if there were to be some sort of trial,
then reasonably he should be convicted.
Yes, I think that's fair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Treason. Tell me about what treason is.
Yeah. So treason, as I understand it, is a willful act against the best interest of like the nation. That's probably a really broad one. I'm sure that there are some other legal requirements in there that I'm probably just not aware of because I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has to be intentional, kind of like with murder. I think it has to be intentional.
Mens rea. You have to understand the choice you're making.
Yeah, I as I understand what treason would be, like you can't accidentally commit treason.
Okay.
You could be found, negligent and, be like, fired from your position in the government somehow, or discharged from the military honorably or dishonorably or something like that. I suppose if you were to do accidental, whatever treason would be, whatever that might be called, unintentional. But I think treason has to be intentional. So
yeah, if I'm slopping national secrets, I might not have intended to commit a crime, but I might have allowed
and I think that
militarily to fall into the wrong hands.
Yeah, and I think that could be where there's a little wiggle room for this with what I'm thinking of, with what I know about the top secret documents and that sort of thing. But so that's probably where I'm not like super high on the confidence scale, but probably I don't know, I haven't asked yet, but I'm probably somewhere above 70, maybe higher.
Okay, 70 or higher.
Yeah.
So is the treason specifically about the handling of classified documents?
I think that's the clearest evidence. The most convincing, the like hardest evidence we have. Now, could he have done other things too? Well, I think he was willfully also allowing or encouraging insurrection at one point. So that also could have been an instance. But there might be some wiggle room with the actual words he said versus how his followers interpreted those. So I don't think that's as strong of a case, although I think it was definitely grossly irresponsible, negligent, dangerous, and should probably disqualify him from ever running again. But I don't know if that was treason, but it could have been, depending on more information that we don't have at this point, at least that the public doesn't have at this point.
Okay, so insurrection may have been treason, and you don't have great evidence for that, or you don't because legal things turn on legal words, maybe.
Yeah, like there's a lot of, once again, if I knew more, if I were an expert in like the law,
Hmm.
maybe I would have higher confidence, or maybe my confidence would be lower because I'm not an expert. So I'm aware of that and try not to be overly confident in things that I really don't know that much about. Um,
A 70%
so
confidence is very low. Is to me very low. By the way I think of it, that's like 1 sigma, which is the lowest confidence where I would even
yeah,
contemplate.
and it might be anywhere between 70 to 90. I'm not
Sure.
sure. I probably wouldn't go above 90. Like if I were on the 1 to 7 scale, I'd probably be at a 5.5,
Yeah.
6, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I
So
hold any of these as at that level of confidence. I
mhm.
think that is a very modest claim. You think it's well more than likely.
Yeah,
Do I get?
like when it comes to like treason, like
Yeah,
that's a pretty serious charge.
you're giving me
Um,
2 to 1 odds in favor of it.
yeah, probably something like that. Yeah, two,
Mhm.
maybe a little, maybe a little,
Maybe a
maybe a
little
little
bit.
bit more, but
It's okay. I'm not
somewhere
negotiating.
around there. Yeah.
Just measuring confidence, not negotiating about it all. But it's a good way to think about it. Okay, so so for the purposes of the claim, we could say that there are other things which you have a lower confidence of it qualifying as treason. But and the biggest one, the biggest single example, has to do with the handling of classified documents.
Yeah. As I understand it, he stole top secret,
Okay.
highly sensitive documents
Hmm.
from the United States government. Like he took something that he did not belong to him intentionally. He appears to have lost, misplaced, sold some
Oh
of
my.
them because we don't know where they are.
Memorabilia.
I mean, um, so obviously, if he has sold top secret documents to other people or given them away, or I don't know, there's all kinds of smoke, but not necessarily fire yet.
Sure.
I hope that at some point, like a full on public investigation where everything that can be made public safely
Hmm.
is made public, and we all can see exactly what happened. Within, not everything. I'm sure a lot of those top secret documents will not be ever made not top secret to the public, but so I'm looking forward to possibly learning more in the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think there might be a difference between, you know, oh, we were packing up the office and we accidentally packed up these files that were in the Oval Office, and we
Yeah.
didn't even. But that from what I've learned so far, that is not what happened. They knew the documents were there. They were told to return them. They were asked nicely to return them,
Yeah.
and
There were
it went on
several
for
layers
months.
before they went in,
Yeah,
and each time the group expanded. The group of documents returned. Each time they said, "Oh no, this is all of them." Each time they looked, it was more.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Um,
here I want to highlight
when I
what
hear stealing, uh, yes. Oh, absolutely.
Rosemary
Roy.
says. Treason is incredibly hard to prove, but an interesting factoid.
Uh-huh.
So does that mean it's not true, Rosemary? I
No,
think that's what factoid means.
that's what that means.
That overlaps this claim is that Roy Cohen, who was Trump's corporate lawyer and mentor before he was disbarred, became famous when he prosecuted the Rosenbergs. You know what? I'm going to show my ignorance and just say I don't know if I know who the Rosenbergs are.
The Rosenbergs were tried for selling nuclear secrets to Russia.
Oh boy.
Yeah, husband and
Huh.
wife. Good teamwork there,
Yeah.
or not?
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting little. I don't know.
Okay, so I think a factoid then is a related fact, something
Oh,
like
okay.
maybe. Cool. Um, when I hear steal, I think of something that is a very big difference between the minimum and maximum examples of steal. I think the maximum example might be breaking into the museum, machine gunning the guards, and stealing the expensive thing after I break the glass. That's big steal. It's a lot of value. It's a lot of collateral damage. It's a lot of danger and other felonies going on into it. So steal could be huge. And then there could be steal where I went in and used the restroom and my nose was running. So I put some extra toilet paper that I didn't use immediately in my pocket and I left the building with it.
Uh-huh.
Am I, how picky do you want to be? So as far as stole the documents, does that matter if we call it stealing or not? If does any of that, does it hinge on whether steal is part of it? Because it's a separate crime, maybe.
I don't know if I really quite understand the question. I think when part of your example was like, how valuable the thing that was stolen was, but also part of it was these other crimes were committed that were not necessarily theft or stealing. There was also like assault and murder and breaking and entering. Yeah.
The theft or stealing is like in its whole new category because it's the handling of classified documents, which is it's a whole set of category of laws, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, like they're, I think the intent makes a big difference. It's not necessarily stealing. I don't know. I actually don't know. Like I said, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know if it's stealing if you accidentally took the documents or if that would just be mishandling. Because there was like, I don't know the whole thing with Hillary's emails, but there was she kept emails on a private server that weren't supposed to be in a private server. So that was like a mishandling of government documents, right? Now, not necessarily top secret nuclear secrets but
mishandling is a different question than actually letting it out.
Or like publicly releasing it, you mean?
Yeah, imagine that I had some classified documents and I took them home in my briefcase and I didn't realize I did. And I brought them back in the work in my briefcase. I mishandled them.
Right.
But if they didn't actually get out of my possession, nobody ever actually saw them, then I sort of had a risk of doing a crime that maybe no crime was committed. I don't know how this works.
It's kind of like if you drunk drive and you don't hit anybody and you don't get caught. That's kind of what I'm thinking of here. It's like, no, you still committed some sort of crime, but we don't necessarily, when people get pulled over for DUIs, they don't do like 10 years in prison. But if they do the exact same thing and they kill somebody, you put them in prison for 10 years. So the consequences do seem to matter in our legal system. Does that mean that they weren't guilty in the other case? I don't think so. I think they were still guilty. So I'd say, mishandling of documents. I mean, there's going to be differences in the consequences, but I think for treason, like I I said at the beginning, the intent is different. Like, I like if you mishandle some documents, I don't think you've committed treason.
Why does the intent matter?
Why does it? So like, I'm trying to think like more broadly or more specifically here, which way I want to go. I think that that's a big part of the law, and that's generally a big part of how we hold people responsible for their choices. Is what they meant to do. And I think that's good. I think that's the right thing, especially because people do make mistakes. People don't always know the consequences their actions are going to have.
Right.
But when somebody willfully makes a choice that could harm other people or have severe consequences one way or another, we generally do look down on that more and judge them more harshly. And I think that's appropriate too. I generally agree with that moral intuition. I think intent is a big part of the law. Intent, like we were actually just talking about this in class today, because we're talking about we have a forensics unit in the class I teach. And we were discussing manners of death, causes of death. And there's a big difference in manner of death. It depends on intent. So you have your natural manners of death: heart attack, cancer, stroke, infectious disease, whatever, right? But then a gunshot wound cause of death could be an accident,
Mm-hmm.
could be a homicide, could be a suicide, and the difference is entirely on intent. And an accidental death from a gunshot wound isn't a crime, and nobody's held responsible, and nobody goes to jail. But a homicide is completely different, right?
Yeah.
Somebody could still be held responsible for maybe a lesser crime than murder, right? If they are unintentionally have a firearm go off because they were cleaning it and it was loaded and they didn't treat it with the proper care and handling that they should have. But generally, they might be convicted of manslaughter, negligent homicide.
Yeah.
They still might face consequences for that, just like somebody still might face consequences for mishandling documents. But somebody who commits murder is more like the person committing treason by stealing the documents and or selling them to people, foreign entities, which I'm not saying that necessarily happened.
Okay.
But I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying it's possible that it happened.
What sort of interesting news could you learn? And let's assume that you are convinced that the news is accurate, actual, at least adjudicated by the court as to be reasonable or something, and not somebody else's idea. What could you learn that would make you a lot more sure that he's guilty of treason? I assume I'm asking for a part of the story that you can't see right now.
Yeah. So if there was high level of confidence that there were, some sort of payment or favors that came into the Trump family or close associates from like a foreign agents or a foreign government, which I feel like maybe already happened, but we don't necessarily know. Like, didn't Jared Kushner get like a bunch of money from the Saudis? There was a golf tournament. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to look into all of this super specifically. So I feel like there's already like at least some smoke. Like we don't have the smoking gun necessarily, but we've got a lot of smoke there. So like, if there were, really strong evidence being presented, like if there were to go to like a trial and an indictment and they're like, look at here are these text messages and here they are communicating about yada yada document and trying to figure out the payment and how they're going to launder the money through this golf tournament. And like, if we had a lot more details on that, and it was like very clear that like, that Trump himself was involved in this, I would become more confident.
Okay. So if you found money paid to him from a foreign interest that was very large, that would increase your confidence.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Like with something where like, there's no obvious reason why it would have happened. Like,
so if there's an obvious other reason, then
like if he had sold some hotel in Abu Dhabi or something, like that would be different. Now could they still have laundered money through some sort of real estate deal? I mean, they could have, but there would be some sort of plausible deniability, right? If there was some sort of obvious payment that we couldn't come up with a plausible reason why it should have happened, that would certainly make me more suspicious and probably more confident. So.
Okay. Now the other direction. What could you learn? Probably about intent, and kind of assuming that we don't learn any further expansion of the problem where things went or whatever. What could you learn about his intent that would make you go the other direction? Less confident that he's guilty?
Yeah, I think what I know of the case already, I think clearly somebody has committed some sort of significant crime here. Mm-hmm. So I think the thing that would make me less confident about Donald Trump is guilty of treason if we learned more and there was strong evidence that it wasn't him, but maybe somebody else in his entourage who was responsible. Obviously the documents were at his house, so that would be weird.
His house,
I guess, right?
has
Or
1,000 bathrooms. It's a
Right.
hotel.
His house. Yeah. So if there were convincing evidence that it was somebody else who took the documents, no, it still doesn't explain why they didn't give them back. I mean, it seemed like pretty clear that he or his direct people, family, assistants, etc., knew about them. So I mean, keeping the documents themselves is probably a pretty significant crime anyway.
If it was
The other thing I suppose would be if there was some. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, if it was just the information on the documents, quick, grab your cell phone, pop, 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 hand it back the documents, say sorry. You can copy these things trivially with things we have in our pockets. It's also
kind of weird, isn't it?
Scan or photograph or whatever. If it's about the information on the documents. Now, if it's to keep the documents from anybody else getting that same information because there's X number of copies of it, or is there? I don't know. That maybe that's part of the problem too.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
That is weird. Is it like is he actually buying his own grift and really thinks he's still president and that Joe Biden is illegitimate and that Joe Biden and the federal government shouldn't have these anymore because he's actually seriously thinks that he's the president in exile? Like, maybe he might actually believe it. I hear him. I don't know if he does.
Say he believes that. How much he honestly believes it, I can't know. I have no idea. I have to allow that possibilities.
Yeah, I think we might have gone off topic a little bit.
No, well, it's all
but it's all interesting to think about.
Having to do with treason. So Mike says we don't know the exact nature of these secrets of docs yet, nor his intention. So we don't have enough information yet. Absolutely agree, and that's why all of the things about the information that should move we kept in the hypothetical. We're guessing about what would be the kind of thing that would improve our knowledge or move us one way or another. Yeah. Was it vanity or bargaining chips for asylum in a foreign country? Well, yes, we could speculate on that. And we can always speculate. Were there any arrangements made to trade or sell? Yeah, those would be really good hypotheticals. If I found a smoking gun and here was the deal. Oh, I think that's whether it's literally treason or not, it's clearly it probably is.
I'm pretty sure it would be. I feel like it has to be. I'm not sure.
It's some kind of crime. It's but I don't know which chapter.
Yeah. I feel like I'm trying to think of things that would be more treasonous and like I don't know. Setting off a bomb in the Capitol building. Maybe I can't. It's hard to imagine things that be more treasonous than selling top secret federal government military secrets to foreign entities. I feel like that's like the definition.
Yeah. Military hardware, unintended, inconvenient destruction of military hardware. Huge secrets,
sabotage, right?
That kind of thing.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, those are definitely a couple of things Mike C is saying here are things that I think I talked about as going up or potentially. But yeah, as far as things going down, I think if it came to light that there was somebody else who was more directly responsible and Trump had less involvement in it than it appears that he has, or had less knowledge of it that it appears that he has, those would make me less confident. I guess his excuse is that he I declassified these, but that's not the process for it. I'm pretty sure that's not the process, and I'm pretty sure that has to be like there have to be other entities involved in declassifying. You can't just say it, and you can't say it after the fact. So if I guess if there were if the Joint Chiefs of Staff or something were to come out with a statement saying we've actually reviewed this and there are these documents and we uncovered the paper trail that yes, in fact, he did go through the proper channels.
Oh, that would be totally different. Yeah. That
would be different. Yeah, that would, I suppose, lower my confidence too. If there were experts in this sort of thing and you had high flying legal experts and military experts and they're saying, actually we do have the paper trail and he did have these documents declassified, that would that would drop my confidence very tremendously. Actually, I would drop my confidence. At that point, I'd look more at the insurrection on January 6th if I was going to try to make this claim, and I'm not as confident he was committing treason there. So,
in this review, have you? I'm going to ask a bunch of different questions because I got you here. In this review, would you have you changed your confidence at all? Has it risen or fallen since you began to review your reasons?
I don't think it's changed significantly. Okay. Like if we were still on like the 7-point scale, I'd probably still around a 6 or a 5.5.
Okay. So yeah, good. Pine Creek rules. Short answers.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try to keep them to 1 or 2 words.
Cool. Have you reviewed any of your reasons and rejected any?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Have your reasons changed in order of significance? Have you changed the weight on any particular reason?
I think I've more discovered what they are. Okay. It's hard to say exactly what the weight was. I think I kind of thought it through as we were talking.
So the weight was probably low and increased then. If you hadn't thought, had weight in your calculus, or maybe, maybe you're actually just finding enough reasons to fill up your initial intuition.
Yeah, maybe this is I'm just confirmation biasing my way into it. But I think it was valuable that I realized while we were talking that from a strict definition of treason, I think the insurrection, I think I might have realized that I have less reason to call that treason than I might have when it first happened. Because I think when it first happened, I was like, the dude is just sitting on his hands while the Capitol's attacked. Seems like he's encouraging this. This is a treason. But I think talking about it now, I think I probably, if that was the only evidence I had, I would probably, I think I've learned that that's less significant than I think this whole stolen documents thing is. But maybe that's just recency bias. I don't know.
Could be. Yeah. All right. So let's see. Is there anything else? I was working on a list earlier today of ways to recognize whether reflection has occurred. So that's where some of these questions came from. So the other one that came up on that list was that they have learned to steelman the opposition's position or an opposition reason. Can you steelman a reason given by somebody who would disagree with you?
I can make an attempt. I feel like a lot of the counter arguments I hear, I don't find very sound or persuasive at all. So the one thing we already talked about a little bit was he declassified them, and so like I said, I think that might be possible, though extremely unlikely. But I don't know what the actual argument would be other than that he declassified them, but I would need to have some highly qualified experts, right?
You were saying intent was important. What if he thought he had classified them and had maybe even verbally commanded to and the command was not followed either because somebody was sloppy or it wasn't heard or whatever, but he thought he had actually declassified them and maybe even had reason to believe that he had. Would that change things?
That I think it's weaselly, but I think that could be. I think that's a very realistic possibility, given what we know about given my assessment of his psychology and his past behavior. I think it's reasonable to think that he just, thinks that he can just declare things. Declassify these, and he pointed at some guy and said, "Declassify these documents, by the way," as they're packing them up. I don't think it was anything with that much forethought. But it's possible he literally actually legitimately thought that he could just declassify them by saying it. I mean, I don't think he listens to anybody around him that tells him he's wrong. If he even has people around him that tell him he's wrong. I think there are some people who were like trying to tell him like, you've got to stop this insurrection. And he resisted listening to them for hours. So it's very possible that people are like, you can't just declassify them. And then he's like, I'm the president. I can declassify them, put them in the boxes. Right. He is arrogant and narcissistic enough that is possible that he thought he declassified them, but
in character.
Yeah, would that kind of gross incompetence then make him not guilty of treason? Maybe. I kind of hope not, but maybe it's possible. But once again, if I knew more about the legal parameters of treason, certainly, and if it was just the documents were there,
now
and he wasn't trying to sell them or anything like that, or
what if a lawyer or a judge said, that's not treason, but it's something else equally as punishable? Would you consider that in favor of the thing you're confident of, or against it because the confidence is about the definition of the term?
I think the second part you said isn't actually relevant for how I think about it.
Okay.
I'm not gonna agree with the expert or disagree with the expert because I don't like the outcome. That's irrelevant. Okay. If there's especially if there's like a consensus of legal experts and they all say this isn't treason, or a majority of them or whatever, right? This isn't treason, but it's actually this other thing, right? Even if it's less punishable, then if that's what the people who know what they're talking about, who actually have studied law and that's what they're saying, I would go with the experts and be like, okay, he's guilty of this other thing. It's not treason. My confidence in this claim is now much lower.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So in this case, let's say you found out that was true, that it was something similarly punishable, but not literally treason, instead some other legal word. Would you think yourself vindicated, or that you were incorrect in this prediction or this claim?
I think I would certainly be technically incorrect, although that doesn't mean he hasn't done other things that might be treason that we just don't know about. So I would say that my confidence that he has committed treason would drop down to sub 10% potentially, because that wouldn't legally be treason. Has he still in some way betrayed the country, or put the country into danger or harm, or endangered our agents and servicemen and women? Yeah, I would still be very, very confident of that. But yeah, I think a lot of why I'm at 70 to 80-ish and not at 90 something is because my lack of knowledge, my lack of legal knowledge.
Yeah.
And then, there's some pieces of information that I think that we need a little bit more info to really be really highly confident. So if it turns out that I'm wrong about what treason is or what constitutes treason, then clearly that would, drop my confidence in the claim quite a bit.
Yeah. So. Cool. Thank you much. Enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah. That was actually a lot more fun and interesting than I thought it might be. So
fun. Commodore spilling spoilers. I haven't seen the poll, but now I know that religion is the highest polling preferred category claim. And Commoner finds that surprising because religious claims seem to have the least amount of response variation between interlocutors. The religion people all sound the same, or something like that.
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
So
in some ways, possibly.
A lot of commonality. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah. I'm curious, Dali.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to ask you questions about our conversation?
Absolutely.
Is that okay? I'm curious where you would place yourself on the confidence scale on that claim.
If it's
however you want us to do the scale.
In exactly the word treason, I'm lower than you only because I think treason is one of those strangely persnickety, pedantic terms that's really, really hard to fall into. But if I put it on the other side where I say guilty of something treason adjacent and and worthy of like at least 5 years in prison kind of thing, then I would, my confidence is like 80-90%.
Yeah, that seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah. But heck, I also have the same opinion about the Bushes and Colin Powell. Yeah, so it doesn't take a lot for me to be convinced that a public figure has done something worthy of jail.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So I don't want to be a jerk about it. Besides, it's glad I'm not a lawyer or a judge.
Yeah, there'd be some people in some very difficult positions, certainly. Yeah. A lot of powerful people are gonna or have found themselves and will be finding themselves in that position of doing what's right versus doing what's easy. I think. So hopefully they do what's right.
Mushu says, if Trump can't understand he lost the election, can we consider him to be reasonable at all?
I guess it depends on how you view reasonable and if you view that as a binary thing or a sliding scale.
Yeah, that a lot. I find a lot of people. I find everybody. I have not found anybody, especially me, who's not wrong about some things.
Right.
I know I'm wrong about some things because of the rate at which I change my mind. It's a bunch of times a year about things, and maybe things I've thought for decades. So I know I must be wrong about stuff, and
yeah.
The
but question, I think you can be wrong and still be reasonable too.
Yeah.
Depending on the information you have.
Yeah. So. Like Luke knows I think he's wrong, but I think he's not unreasonable. I actually find his reasoning, if I start with his epistemology, everything else is right. So
yeah, there it is. And that, I think that's a big part of why we do this is, trying to be more reasonable and trying to, we had a lot of fun the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of why we're doing this. It's, it's not necessarily, hopefully it's partially to become more right or to help other people, come closer to truth. But I think a lot of it is just trying to become more reasonable and having the kind of humility that says I could be wrong and I could be thinking about this wrong and I might have bad information. And so I'm going to try to apportion my confidence accordingly, like if I didn't know about street epistemology, if I wasn't familiar with the scene at all, I would probably be 99% confident that Trump committed treason.
Nice.
Whereas because I've paid attention to this and do it and have become interested in this whole process, I'm much less confident than I think I would be. I think that without this sort of practice, my bias would just push me way to the extreme, or I don't know if we'll call it extreme, but to an extremely confident place that might be unjustified. And so I try to be very careful and cautious about being overconfident. So,
you think that could hurt you at times, or can you think of situations you might get in where underconfidence could be a liability?
I'll have to think about that one. It might kind of depend on what we mean by confidence. Like confidence in these sorts of claims. I don't know. I think I think underconfidence could certainly be problematic. Yeah, but I hope that through this process, I'm not becoming underconfident either.
Okay.
I think by going through this process and kind of really, testing our reasons, we can hopefully be neither overconfident nor underconfident. We can hopefully find a window that fits reasonably well.
I think from context, Ray and Veronica both think that that they can think of places where underconfidence or slowness to come to a high confidence can be a liability.
Yeah,
I inferred a lot of words in the middle of their yes I cans.
Certain situations you need to act on instinct, I think.
Sure.
Those are the places where you can't sit down in your fancy chair and put on your robe and get out your pipe and your whiskey glass and think about philosophy for hours. Sometimes that looks dangerous. Let's go away. That's okay. We've evolved those instincts for a reason.
Oh, so. Yes. That's the thing going on in the middle. Yeah. Be scared immediately. Amygdala right up front. Early on in the signal chain, little bitty fucker.
Yeah.
Little almond.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and good luck overriding that with your, well, how confident am I that lion is real and is in front of me and is hungry? It's okay. Yeah. You don't have to worry about that. Your brain's not going to do that.
I'm not going to have time for that, and or inclination to do any of that slow stuff. I try to balance my type 1 and type 2 thinking. I do have a personal tendency toward the type 2 thinking becoming dominant.
Quick refresher on type 1 versus type 2.
Type 1 thinking is like immediate recall. I already have programmed my neural net to jump away from this snake. I can remember a fact just because I learned it. Boom. And then type 2 is consideration tends to be deliberate and try to be complete in terms of lists and process, and of course can be utterly stalled by a depth first search of a large something. He's utterly stymied by too many choices.
Ray says, when playing poker, underconfidence will quickly erode your chip stack. But so will overconfidence.
Yes, it's hitting that exact right thing in proportion to the probabilities. That's the mastery of the poker. It's something I'm not nearly good enough at, and that's because I don't enjoy it enough. I actually find I enjoy a winning less than breaking even.
Is that like, do you feel guilty for taking other people's money?
It's not guilt. It's just like when I'm taking somebody else's, especially a friend's money, it's like, this actually is a net zero game, so my win doesn't feel like a team win. And it's all kind of meh.
Yeah. That's why my family poker nights are $5.
Yeah. The smallness of the money turns it into, if the money can be small enough, it turns it into we didn't care. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
I spend more money on the snacks and the beer for the poker night than I do on the poker. So no matter what, I win because I had fun. So
yeah, it might be interesting to take all the pot, throw it into a food budget, get all the snacks and the beer paid for. There's no money left, but everybody has this thing of how much they put into the food budget, and then we play for those tokens, and then whoever wins the most bought everybody's food and drink for the night.
The winner is actually just a really generous person. I like that. That's cool.
This is just inversion of silliness. It's not this is not advice at all. Don't bet enough to cause guilt. It's fine. I just my pleasure center is not wired up for it, so I don't want to get good at that.
Yeah, no, I the whole idea of walking into a casino is just completely averse to everything my brain does. Yeah, no, it's no.
My math is far too good to allow that. No.
If people tell me, "Oh, we're gonna go to the casino," I'm like, "All right, I'll have fun. I'm gonna stay here and put my money into my retirement accounts." So. Anyway, by the way, as a reminder, lots of wonderful people in the chat on the sidebar. You can just click, come talk to us.
Let me spam that thing out again. Pop, clock, copy, and paste. One of the other things I was going to potentially do tonight, if I could have found my VR headset, was to go play mini golf with Reed and Doug, and so that was a thing that might have been to happen, and they might be doing it right now.
Yeah, sounds fun.
But I couldn't find my VR headset, so it'll be next time. I got myself a VR headset, and within about a month or two, I was like, okay, I'm bored. This is not my thing.
Yeah, I've never done that. Yeah, I have 2 young children, so I barely have time to even just sit down and play any sort of games or even read books. Well, partially I spend too much time, hanging out watching YouTube channels. So
yeah. I do like video games, and I might end up doing something with it if it's the kind of video games that I like, which tend to be like Kerbal and Minecraft and things like that. The non-violent, not agitating. Well, let's do the careful thing. Do what I want. That kind of sandbox games. I like those, and those aren't well developed on headsets.
No, probably not. Yeah.
It seems like both of those being like the physics and environment simulators, they would be really easily adaptable to 3D, whatever. So I don't know why they're not, and maybe they did, and I wasn't looking. I'm doing too much SE. I don't have time for video. Video games, I mean. Yeah. So thank you for that claim. Let's see. Do I have? Certainly the let's see. Sorry. Do you ever buy lottery tickets? I do not. I know that lottery tickets by at least in my state, the rule is that 50 cents out of every dollar of lottery tickets, 50% has to go into the prize. So that means the house squeeze is half. The 50 cents that goes into the prize is an even bet.
Yeah.
Now there's ways in which you can change that from, up and down a little bit. Like if a large amount of money rolls over to the next one, well, then there's more than 50 cents out of the dollar, so it gets a little bit better. But for it to ever get over $1, I think is like not ever going to happen.
Oh yeah, no,
never going to go 100%. There was a group of people who figured out some mathematical ways in which to get over 100% on the thing, and it took a while for the lottery thing. The lottery wasn't really losing; they were happy to have winners. They didn't really care, but it took them a little while to close that mathematical.
Yeah, I remember seeing something with that. There's a certain like scratch off game or something like that in a certain, I don't even know what state it was, but there was one game where if it got to a certain point, it mathematically became favorable to play. And there's this group of people who bought like thousands and thousands and thousands of tickets, and they made a lot of money. So, but I think that's pretty rare. So, I've played lots of scratch off games, but only when people have bought them for me and given them to me for Christmas. But no, I don't buy them.
Yeah. Freedom. That's like Thunderdome. Should people have freedom of speech and protest by refusing gay people a wedding cake? Yeah, sure. Would you like me to make that claim on either side? I could steel man either position. Would one of us would you like to interrogate that claim?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Do you want to do both, or
do you for, against, or real?
I think it's better if it's your actual position on it.
Okay.
Personally. Okay. So yeah.
Here's my claim. If you want to do business in the United States, you have to put up with some shit you really hate. Like if you're offering things with a business license to the public, you have to provide it for all the public without some kinds of discrimination. Here's the list of all the ways in which people have discriminated in a way that we want to absolutely not have anymore. So it's a rule of doing business in the US. You have to not do these kinds of discrimination. Okay. We can talk about exceptions to that rule. So one exception that is claimed would be this is an artistic thing, and I don't do every commission, and because of the intent around the way the art is being used, it's messing it up for me. So I don't want to do that kind of art, and I'm allowed to make that distinction. So I wonder about that. I wonder if we want to have a special category for that, and I'm interested in arguments for having that special category, or where we do have that special category, and it's like, for example, I bet you couldn't go to a preacher and say, marry me and my partner, and you don't get to object. I bet preachers have an out by saying, part of my doing the marriage ceremony is blessing them according to my religion, and if my religion can't bless them, therefore, boom, therefore disqualified.
Yeah, and I think is when you come up with that exception to the exception, maybe. Why do you think that is? Why what's underlying the idea that, you know, the priest or the preacher has an exception where they're not having to?
Because part of what they're handing you is not just they're not just pretending to be the county courthouse, or whatever you call the justice of the peace that marries people if you just go to just to the government office, whatever you call it. It's not just like a government function. They are also providing a church function, and and you would have to qualify under both sets. Yes, you secularly qualify, but you don't qualify for our church because we have rules about who's allowed to get married in the church. Because the church is blessed. You might have to go through training. You might have to qualify. You know, the church can make those arbitrary rules.
Would you agree that it's maybe like a conflict of rights, where there's a right for people to a particular service, like a business service, without being discriminated against, but there's also a right for the preacher or priest to express their religion or act in, I don't know why I can't come up with the words, to perform their religious duties in accordance with their religion. Is it like here's an instance where we have two rights in conflict, we have to choose one?
Yeah, it's a question that we have in this country decided. I think in relationship to getting rid of Jim Crow laws, and in relationship to civil rights and several other things, to carve out some categories of past really heinous social maladies, and carve them into the law and say, you specifically have to avoid this set of social maladies to be. So they've created a new right, if you will. We've created a new rule that says this past behavior needs to actively be cut off. And then there's this older right, which is actually the one that they're kind of pushing against, which is to say that groups of people can choose for themselves whether to participate in things. And this is weird, because the idea that you're a business, they're saying you must then opt in to our non-discrimination. So if you want to make wedding cakes and only sell them to the right people in your mind, whatever that list might be, I suggest you make them religious wedding cakes. I suggest that you make the wedding cake a sacrament and make it religiously significant in your thing. Now, that doesn't have to be profound or anything. You just have to say that your religion says these kinds of cakes that are celebrating weddings are part of my firmly held belief that they are themselves in some way sanctified, and we cook them with holy water, or we do this blessing over them, but we're only allowed to do it in the such and such, and here's this scripture, and it was written last Thursday. But so
is that a way around it that you are comfortable with?
I am.
Should a bakery be able to simply rebrand themselves as a church, and then they get tax breaks too? They can keep more of the money, right? Can they actually? Would they wind up possibly profiting more, being able to discriminate, keeping more of the money because they're now technically a church? I'm thinking of pastors with their
I've seen
mega
these
church
stats.
pastors with their private jets. Obviously, the government doesn't care if they keep all the money.
John Oliver did this years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, where they followed all the rules to start essentially a church, and raised a stupid amount of money. I think it was more than $1 million, telling people outright that this was just a fake and this and that, and then they pushed it all into charity so that it was all totally cool, and nobody was pissed and nobody was fooled. There was none of that. But the point is, the laws that we have as far as what you have to do to qualify are very lax, very open, and fine, use that. Now, that means that everybody coming into your bakery is going to see that you are calling yourself a religious specific thing, and you're going to have to post that. You're going to have to make that really public and make it clear. And okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
You'll probably get away with it. I'm not talking about what's right or wrong so much here as what the law is.
Right. That was my next thing I wanted to go to, but we can talk to Malc maybe first.
Yeah.
Come back.
Thank you, Malc, for calling in.
So. Hey, Malc.
Hey, no problem. You guys were just talking about the church, and you're debating about well, I just joined in, but I think you're talking about like equal rights when it comes to marriage and sexuality.
Yeah, specifically the claim that we were asked to talk about was whether you should be allowed to deny selling a wedding cake to a gay couple, for example.
Yeah, well, no, it's just that my dad actually he is gay, and he just got married when they made it legal, and I wanted to know why you think that's a good thing, because now my dad's gay.
I think
what's
it's
a good thing?
Gay.
Because now my dad's gay.
Is that a bad thing for you?
He wasn't gay before that law, and then the law got repealed, and now he's gay.
Okay. Do you find that has negatively influenced your relationship with your dad?
No.
Okay. Is it hurting him?
Is it hurting me?
No, is it hurting your dad?
To be gay?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So, are you happy that he is showing up as gay?
I don't care.
Cool. Okay. So, gay marriage coming in had him make it obvious that he was gay. People can argue about when that happened, but now he's
like
he's out, at
the
least.
day of the the day of the law getting repealed. Because before that, he like that the day before that he wasn't gay, and then the day of my dad was gay.
Is this what your dad told you? Did he say that he wasn't gay and then he became gay that day?
He said yes.
Oh, that is really interesting.
That's what he told me.
Interesting. Okay. Interesting. I know a lot of gay people, and I've never heard anybody talk about how anything about their sexuality changed in a really tight time frame.
Yeah.
That's what he told me.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose if it's not harming him and it hasn't harmed your relationship and you don't have a problem with it, I don't have a problem with it either. If that was your question, was that your question?
No, I just wanted to talk about that.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
Is there a specific claim you
somebody saying they became gay quickly?
No, isn't that kind of crazy?
Yeah. It's unusual.
That does sound kind of. Yeah,
I knew you think my dad's crazy.
No, I don't. I don't necessarily think your dad's crazy.
Well, you just said it. You know what? I'm gonna go. That's a little ridiculous. You guys are gonna sit here and laugh at my dad like that. He's not crazy. No. He's just.
I don't think your dad's crazy. No,
he's not. He's not.
We didn't. Yeah, I don't even know your dad.
Your father's crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like you. I don't know.
Sorry. Look, is it okay if I clarify what I meant, Malc?
Go ahead.
Okay, you asked, do you think that's crazy to us? And I think Dali and I both said, yeah, that seems kind of crazy. We didn't mean, at least I did not mean your dad seems crazy. The situation or the story seems, and when I'm saying crazy, it seems kind of like surprising, maybe unbelievable. That's what I meant. So is that more understandable what I was saying?
You don't believe my dad?
I'm sorry, Malc.
Sorry, we're kind of losing you, Malc.
Well.
You said it's unbelievable.
Not like completely unbelievable. Just I would. It just seems very surprising, based on
So my
knowledge I
dad's
have.
So my dad's gay and crazy, and you don't believe him. That's great. That sends out a really good
I'm
message.
beginning to think that you're not being very genuine with us. Yeah.
Thanks, Malc, for calling in.
Yeah, I've been suspecting for a few minutes, but thought I'd give him a chance.
My confidence never rose above half, actually. And that's okay. I can deal. That's all just fine. Veronica says, my son did tell me that if the dispensaries didn't sell marijuana legally, he wouldn't smoke pot. Okay. That's a limit that I certainly didn't follow. I've been smoking pot a lot longer than it's been legal.
Yeah, and I think that's a little different. That's a behavior. I'd say that's different than an orientation. That's a behavior that you're changing based on the consequences. That's a consequentialist decision you're making, as opposed to an inward assessment of one's proclivities.
I think the possibility that dad was not completely honest with with Malc in this case is highly probable to me. Ray says if his dad did say that, perhaps he was pulling Malc's leg. Yeah, I think there might have been some
I was thinking some sort of
leading to misinformation potentially.
Yeah, some sort of miscommunication. Yeah, I think there is a.
And then the question, troll? Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I'm thinking highly likely.
Yeah, I'm hearing wasting time, prank call, not even creative, and was obviously tongue in cheek. That's fine. He was a debate lord. Okay, those are all plausible.
It was a prank call. He did accidentally show his face for a while, or maybe meant to. Okay. I don't know. So whatever. Generally, whenever I'm engaging in any sort of street epistemology or SE adjacent activity or environment, I try to take everybody at their word, give everybody the benefit of the doubt that they're going to be honest until I have good reason to think they're not. So, better safe. I'd rather err on that side than the other. So,
hey, Chase. I wonder if that means Chase considers himself a troll.
Well, if we're just going to make up claims and, misinterpret what people say whenever we want, sure, why not?
Trace is an activist and a very good representative, in my opinion, for the side of veganism. So if that's trolling, troll away. Go for it. By the way, I'm not a vegan, but I'm all in favor of people saying, I think in this space, moral. I think this thing is moral. You should consider it.
Mm-hmm. I'm not, but I'm I don't know, partial or sympathetic to it, and probably really, if I were to try to get my behaviors all aligned with my morality more, I would be at least vegetarian or close to it. I don't know if I'd be full vegan, but so I'm sympathetic. So just like yelling at people. All right, well, you came to the right place. Welcome to the SE Collins show, where we yell at people.
Okay, yeah, we could yell at people if you want. If that helps. I'm gonna yell at people while looking at pretty pictures.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will not be yelling. My children are asleep right now.
Right.
I'd like them to stay that way.
Yeah. Highly unlikely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Now, it does seem perfectly reasonable to celebrate something like gay marriage being passed to come out. And it might also be quite reasonable to say, oh no, this just happened, rather than have to admit that this has been undercover for a really long time. That might be a simpler way, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. What are we doing next? Or are we calling it? Anybody else want to call in?
Yeah.
to make a celebratory announcement, solidarity, and a complete surprise and change of lifestyle, probably not. Yeah, that's. I mean, go ahead. Straight people try to be gay. Gay people try to.
Might be one of those things where you like. It could be one of those things where, depending on how you mean it, like you finally stopped. You finally gave yourself permission to be honest with yourself. Yeah. I think I have like a similar story for like when you adopt a certain label, could be something like that, right? Like I remember when I kind of first started thinking of myself as an atheist. I think it probably had that sort of position for a while before then, but wouldn't have considered myself one because I didn't allow myself to think of myself that way. So it could be something like that.
Yeah. I've got a friend who transitioned about 2 or 3 years ago, and I've known them for like 12 years. And according to what they've told me, I knew before they did. I wasn't sure entirely about their queerness, what form it'd take, that kind of thing. But it was like the queerness was obvious, and okay, got it now. I say queer in the positive sense. Remember, it's the Q.
Yeah.
So the queer is a good reclaimed word for generic, I suppose, sexual or gender minorities.
Yeah. I as a non-queer person, I use the term, and I think that's okay as long as I'm not meaning it pejoratively. It seems to be a thing that is, but maybe I don't know. I guess maybe I shouldn't use it. I don't know. I usually just go with gay most of the time, or not straight, or something. But queer is very encompassing, which I kind of like that. I think it can be a really unifying term.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So. Gina does not respond to yelling from activists positively. Yeah, I'm also, whether activist or not, but just generally yelling people, that's cheap, and cheaters do that. Not that everybody who's yelling is a cheater, but
I don't think it's effective. I mean, it can be to certain people in certain circumstances. It certainly can get a hold of my son's attention when he's about to do something stupid or dangerous. Sure. If I raise my voice, but when you're trying to convince somebody of something, or have a real conversation, trying to convince or persuade, or then no.
There are a couple of local churches, Spanish-speaking churches near me, that like to stand out in front of their little place with a microphone and a amplifier and make themselves clearly heard 2 blocks in every direction.
That's obnoxious.
Is that yelling? I respond to it as if it is. That stuff pisses me off. It's like I can't hear myself talk to the person standing next to me because of how loud you're yelling to me this thing. I don't care what the content is.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things that you're kind of invading somebody else's brain to a certain extent. Like, you can't look away. You can look away from a billboard. You can't not hear. Although I guess most people are walking around with earbuds in their pocket nowadays, so maybe.
Yeah, I sure do.
Might.
Ray Cosby thinks it's more important to advocate for secular public institutions than atheism. I agree. I don't
Agreed.
think atheism needs any help.
No. I just don't find it that important.
Yeah. Now, I'm all in favor of people who are interested in the topic of atheism, and I'm a fan of the atheist experience, and Matt Dillon, he rocks, and all those things. But strictly for entertainment at this point.
Yeah, I think secularism and pluralism are way more important than atheism. I don't care what somebody's very specific beliefs are if they can get along with everybody else in society and not make life miserable for other people. So
It says that most people knew she was a lesbian before she did. It was simultaneously terrifying and relieving to admit it to myself. So to herself. Coming to clarity about something, especially that society holds as a strong identity function. oh, you're a lesbian, you must really like those kinds of shoes, and aren't you going to get a buzz cut? It's like there's all these stereotypes, and then they want to pigeonhole you into the thing. So even in a group of people that are really, really accepting, there's still a stereotype load that goes in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything really, really closely tied to your own identity, that can be a lot just to deal with, even regardless of what society's thinking. It can be,
JC Reviewer had a
shattering.
microphone surgically attached to his arm. Justice demands action. Yeah, I want to say yes. If you honestly believe a position, especially a moral position, especially something that matters to people, hell yes, you should talk about it. I am so not annoyed at activists that are, whether I agree with them or not, that are just honestly speaking their mind, and that's all. I'm all in favor of it. I don't get annoyed anymore at religious evangelical. I don't mean specific evangelists. What am I speaking?
Evangelism,
yeah, evangelism of all stripes, not narrowly
Yeah.
the Protestant thing. That I mean, I don't get annoyed with them because they're doing what they believe is right.
I generally agree with some caveats, I think, because I think it's one thing to present your message and say, this is what I believe, and I think you should believe it too. I think it's another thing to go into like an apologetics route where there's manipulation and potentially dishonesty. I think there's a decent amount of manipulation and dishonesty in like a particular path that people can go through in advocating. So if somebody's just like, hey, this is what I believe and I want to tell you about it, and here's my book, and would you read it? And I'd love if you would come to church with me on Sunday. That's fine. Go for it. Do it all you want. But when you try to play rhetorical games and trick people into, maybe not even trick, but trap people. Yeah.
I should take one of those things, one of those opinions that I think really influence people, really affect the way people think, and steelman the other side. I'd have to, change my name and appearance or whatever. Maybe I'll go some kind of a mask, and go use terrible sophistry and ridiculous arguments in favor of their side. I bet I could be more persuasive giving bad arguments. Push people away. I think I can push people more than I can pull people. No, I'm not actually going to do this. This is entirely no. This is not worth my effort. But
I think this is what when Pine Creek says he supports the apologetic empire, right? That's what he's all about, right?
He thinks that they're doing his work for him, and I agree.
Yeah.
If I want to look, I mean, obviously, if I was doing counter apologetics, one of the first things I'd do is go grab all that low hanging fruit of the particularly bad arguments and shine a light on those first.
Yeah.
Gina says it's aggressive tactics more than positions that put me off. Yeah, I agree. Tone matters way more than whether I agree with you. I really enjoy listening to people I disagree with that have good tone and clarity, because if I want to steel man the other's reason, I want the steel one. I don't want the straw one to learn from. And if I get convinced, that's a good thing too. That's a bonus.
Yeah, like I enjoy like a good. I haven't listened to that many of their episodes, but the Real Atheology podcast. They have some really cool interviews with like some theologians and like philosophy of religion types, and like there could be some. It's really fun to actually listen to good arguments from theists. I do enjoy that. Now I don't always find myself agreeing, and there's a back and forth. So, but sometimes like, oh, hey, you know what? That's actually a good point, and it's actually fun to learn good versions of arguments because it also, it's good to test your own positions and, how do I feel about that? How do I think about that? Can I think of a counterexample or an argument that could go the other direction based on what I've heard? That's fun.
Yeah.
So if you haven't heard that, They're on Twitter and they've got a podcast, The Real Atheology Team.
Cool.
It's theology with an A in front.
Yeah. So, yeah, Gina, you're totally welcome to jump on in and have a claim that you'd like to talk about, or
Yes.
or however you want to do. I want to make sure that I have posted the. Did I post? I did. Okay, I see it. Good. I wanted to get that up in there. So yeah, absolutely happy to talk with you about a claim. There you are. Hello.
All right. Hey, Gina.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well.
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
I'm nervous as always.
That's
all right.
This is the great place to work out the nerves.
Yeah.
Low stakes. Friendly audience.
Yeah. So Gina said in the chat there was a claim you would like to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
What do you got?
I think a large number of atheists came from religious backgrounds and came to it from a combination of critical thinking and religious exploration.
Okay. So a large number of atheists came to atheism from religion due to critical thinking and religious exploration.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Just want to make sure I've got that. So, Dali, do you want to tag team it together, or do you want me to take it, or it doesn't matter?
One of you.
Well, Dali already interviewed me, so I think I'll interview Gina, and Dali can jump in with good questions when he's got one. How's that sound?
I'll stand by.
All right, sounds good. And let me see if I can add a claim banner thing. All right, so I guess one of the first things I would say, Gina, is does large number mean like majority, or does it just mean like what does large number mean to you?
I think just from what I can tell and watching I guess watching YouTube videos, watching the atheist experience, and I think there's a Pew Research poll that said something more than 40% of atheists used to be religious or used to be Christian.
Okay. All right. So if it's 40%, then it's not a majority, but it's a significant number, perhaps. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So is that the main reason that you believe this claim?
I think it has something to do also with how I came to it and talking and listening to others, people like Dali and Anthony, and I'm not sure about Reed, but there are others, even in the Etsy community, like a large portion of the people say like I'm X whatever.
Okay. All right. So I suppose we kind of almost have like a main claim and then a claim that extends off of that. So the first claim is that a large number of atheists, and maybe that's like you said, maybe somewhere around 40%, used to be religious in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not a majority, but maybe close to half. So that would be like the first part, right? Just that there's a decent number of atheists who used to be religious and no longer believe in a deity. But then I think the more interesting part of your claim is that it's due to critical thinking and religious exploration.
Yeah.
So when we take that whole claim, that the reason, I think what you're saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason that people are leaving religion and becoming atheists or agnostics or however the nuns or the non-theists,
Yeah.
perhaps, depending on how you want to phrase that. I know that we can get into that definition if we want to, but if you don't think it's important, we don't have to. But that the reason is because of critical thinking and religious exploration. So how confident are you that the reason that many or a large number of atheists have for leaving their religion is due to critical thinking and or exploration?
I think I'm really high on this one. I'm like at 90%, 85%.
Okay. I'm curious, what would it look like, just so we kind of understand what we mean? What would it look like? What would be a reason that somebody could give to leave a religion that wouldn't be critical thinking and exploration? Like, can you like imagine somebody saying, I left my religion and now I'm an atheist because of this, but it wouldn't be those two things?
It could also be because they were hurt in some way by their religion. There was some kind of abuse going on within an organization, or they were asked to leave, or
Okay. All right. So yeah, and you can come up with more or not. I just kind of wanted to check, make sure that, we're not categorizing basically everything as those two things. So as long as there are other reasons they could give that wouldn't fall under the critical thinking and exploration umbrella, I think we're good there.
Mhm.
So if you were to estimate, I know you talked about the 40% number, that number of current atheists, you had a statistic there, used to be religious, but of those former theists who then become non-theists or atheists, what proportion do you have an idea of, like, when you say large? I don't know if this is still the large number. What proportion do you think are leaving for these reasons as opposed to those other reasons you talked about, like being hurt or being kicked out?
I don't know.
Okay, that's great. Nothing wrong with that. I don't know is a good answer.
I don't know.
All right. Okay. Because then it kind of depends on, what do we really mean by large number too?
Well, a fair few. I mean, more than one.
Two, now a large number.
Well, it depends on, I think a large number depends proportionally on how many atheists there are. And how many people identify themselves as atheists. Like, if there are only like 20 of us in a given town, then 10 would be a large number, or 5 would be a large number.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering. I'm wondering if we could make a more specific claim or not, or because I feel like if we don't have maybe a cutoff for what makes a large number, then it's hard to falsify the claim, right? Did you say more than I think you were joking, but
yeah, I was exaggerating.
There's anything you could learn that would, if a large number could be, 5%, 10%, 15%, do you think it's something that's really falsifiable that we could learn that it's not true?
I think I could look for more surveys on the topic, or talk to more people about how exactly they left their religions, or deconversion stories.
Yeah,
I know Dali's by heart.
Yeah, if let's say that there was like a Pew study, like a study came out that you found you thought was reliable. It wouldn't have to be Pew, but any study, a survey or something like that. That was reliable and trustworthy to your satisfaction, and it said 95% of people who leave their religion leave because they were hurt, they were kicked out, they're angry at God, they're angry at their parents, and only maybe 5% for critical thinking and exploration. Let's say that we have those two categories: critical thinking and exploration, and then all those other things. If 95% of people were leaving for other reasons, would that drop your confidence if you saw like a survey result like that?
I think it would.
Okay. What if it was 50%?
If it was half of those people who said they left for other reasons and critical thinking and learning about religion,
Yeah.
it might.
Okay. Okay. So it's maybe somewhere between those. There's like that large number cut off somewhere. So that's kind of where the fuzziness is now for me right now.
I'm kind of fuzzy on this. Like, I have high confidence that there's it's more than just me who went through it this way, but I don't know exactly how many.
Yeah, it'd be really interesting to see more poll results. Because I see poll results occasionally, but those poll results they're not what I've seen. It's usually like a poll on YouTube of a particular audience, like I'll see polls from certain content creators or certain channels. Do you put much stock into those poll results? Sorry, I feel like
could you repeat
I've messaged
question?
too much. Yeah, so like,
rephrase.
that was bad. Sorry.
Rephrase.
Yeah, so like we talked about, would poll results from like a reputable surveying organization like Pew Research or something like that, could that change your confidence? If you saw poll results that were just like street epistemology community, people who watch Reed's channel or something like that, if it was just people who watched Reed's channel and 95% of them said they left for critical thinking, do you think that would change your confidence, or does the source of the poll make a difference?
I think it'd have to be a much wider poll.
Okay.
Because it's a very specific little corner, a little nugget, I think, and I don't know exactly how sampling is done. I haven't learned statistics.
Yeah. And you have particular audience potentially, and the algorithms are choosing the people to a certain extent. So yeah, you might have a particular subset of the atheist community that watches, SE videos or the atheist experience or whatever, right? Potentially, but you might not have, there could be a whole nother atheist contingent out there that maybe doesn't share those thoughts. Okay. So we've talked a little bit about like, what sort of survey results could possibly sway us a particular way, including like who's doing the surveying and what sort of percentages or results we might need in order to move one way or another. How I guess the other thing would be with those sorts of survey results, it's all self-reporting. Do you think it's possible for people to lie on those survey results?
It's possible. It's also possible for them to be honestly mistaken or just remember wrong or give different reasons than they actually had for leaving.
Yeah. Do you think there might be atheists or do you think maybe a better question, do you think it's common for atheists to say that they left because of critical thinking, but maybe they actually left for a different reason?
I don't know how we could tell. It's possible. I don't know how we could tell.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm right there with you. Yeah. I think potentially I could be mistaken even about my own reasons.
I could be too.
Do you? Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
They just listen. I don't think that's true.
Maybe some. It's probably somebody out there. But
I mean, if they're gonna sin, they don't have to leave the religion to do that.
That's true. That I agree with definitely. All right, so I know you said at the beginning. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really want to check on right now. So we kind of talked about, what does large number mean, and maybe it's somewhere. I don't know. If you had to put a number on, sorry, I don't want to feel like I'm like beating a dead horse, but is there a percentage range maybe that you think qualifies as a large number? Like when you're thinking in your mind, you can have a pretty wide range if you want to. I think it just would help me more to really understand the claim.
North of like a quarter, like
Okay, all
more
right.
than 25% in this case.
Yeah, it's a significant number then. Like it's a decent chunk, right?
Yeah.
Good piece of the pie. Okay, I think that helped. I think that helps me a little bit. Now I don't have to worry about that anymore. Okay.
It's not
and
like
so
all or
we
nothing. Just
it doesn't have to be 90% or 50%, but at least a good chunk. Yeah, no, that's fine. And so we talked about survey results being one way that we could kind of test this. Is there a different because that's something you brought up. Is there another reason? You mentioned talking with specific people and like kind of personal experience. If you were to just have conversations with more atheists and it went the next, maybe 10 of the next 12 atheists you talk to give you a reason other than critical thinking and religious exploration, do you think that could affect your confidence?
Yes, I could probably would. But it'd have to be like not just a small chunk too. Like more than one or two.
Yeah. Which do you think you'd find more convincing? Having conversations with, some reasonably small number where you have a lot of people reporting that they left their religion for other reasons, or like a Pew study or like a big survey study like we talked about earlier, which do you think would have a bigger impact on your confidence?
I think it would have to be a combination of the two.
Okay. So just so I'm clarifying, I think what I'm hearing you say is you would still have the belief at a reasonably high confidence if you only had one of those. But if both of them happened, if a study came out that said most or the vast majority of atheists leave for emotional or some other reason, and you also had conversations with a lot of atheists that said that they left for an emotional reason, that would drop your confidence. But alone, maybe not as much.
Right.
Okay. And likewise to go up would be similar reasons. Okay. Well, it seems like you're open to changing your confidence in either direction based on new information, which I applaud. That might be messaging, and Dali might go.
Thanks. I'll take it.
Oh yeah, there's the piece of the pie. It looks like about a sixth right there. About a sixth.
Maybe a fifth.
Maybe. Yeah.
Slightly less than 4.
It's not a quarter. It's definitely not a quarter. The angles. It's an acute angle there. All right. Okay. So, Gina, do you feel you're at a similar confidence level in this claim, or do you feel like it might have changed?
Because, I think it should go down a little because there's still a lot I don't know. It's kind of a new claim. So I'm kind of 50-50 about it at this point. Like, I have enough information to say, okay, this is something to look at, but not enough information to really be all that sure.
Yeah. Now I'm really curious. I want to know if there are like some big surveys or big polls that we could find that would tackle this or not, if that data might be out there. So I think that
I think it was something I looked into because maybe like the attitudes of some theists have encountered online, and encountered in real life too, where there's this assumption that atheists are just completely unchurched and never been, exposed to religion or religious teachings in their lives. And if they actually knew about this stuff, then they'd switch over like that. And I don't think that's true, at least in my experience, and in the experience of some others. It was that we were raised religious and couldn't accept like what we were told, and we went through a period of exploration and questioning before we arrived here.
I think it's, we can be highly confident that there are people who are in either of those camps. Like, you and I are in the same camp. Yeah, you and I have at least some of that in common. Whereas somebody like Will from Inspire Reflection, I know he was raised without religion, right? So those people do exist, but there are also people who, were religious or were raised with a religion.
I know one and two of those. I have a friend who called himself an anti-theist, and I didn't really understand what it meant at the time. I completely misunderstood. And I wish I'd known, like, SE at the time, so I could ask him what he meant.
That's a term that I don't think I have a good working definition of it in my head, because I've heard a lot of different explanations for that term. So I would definitely want to clarify what that means for the individual.
The best information I have is that anti-theists would what we call a strong atheist. Like, they claim there is no God.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard that definition. I have also heard it as more of like an activist approach. It's like a strong atheist plus the militant. like I am out to convince you that it's false. So exactly. So I think people using that term, just like with just atheism in general, I think people can mean that in different ways. So it's important. If you're having an SE conversation with somebody and they say that, I think it's very important to have them define the term. How are they using it? What do they mean by it? Definitely.
I think when these things came up, either SE didn't exist yet or it was like in its infancy. It's like in 2013. And even before that. But I mean, these ones are otherwise really lovely people. I just didn't understand at the time what that meant.
Yeah. When this conversation happened, where were you? What was your belief stance at that point? I'm curious.
I was exploring and questioning. I think I wanted to find a way to define my faith on my own terms. I didn't know what that was at the time, so I think I fell in with a really lovely bunch of Unitarian Universalists.
I went to a Unitarian Universalist church twice, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because it wasn't for me. I just think I found that I didn't really need it. It didn't do a whole lot for me, but they seemed like really nice, really great, wonderful group of people.
They are.
I was like, I don't think I'm getting a whole lot of this. So
it did for me for a long time, because I had that curiosity about religion, and they were presenting it in a way, I think, that they didn't really favor one or the other. They were just saying, okay, this is what these people believe. And it was done very objectively, and I kind of appreciated that. They
a chill approach.
Said, make up your own mind about it.
Right. We're gonna push any dogma down your throat. That term anti-theist. I feel like for somebody who's just starting to question things, the term atheist is probably scary enough. Anti-theist sounds even maybe scarier. Like maybe somebody wants to kill God or something. I don't know. That's what I would probably have thought of when when I was like 15 or something.
What I think I thought at the time was like, why do you need to be against somebody else's belief? It's like that was the image that like was in my mind. Like, are you trying to fight against someone else's belief?
It's like the atheism subreddit. That's what I think of. It's probably not a charitable interpretation. All right.
I'm probably lucky that I don't.
All right. So Gina, is there anything else you want to talk about with this particular claim, or do you think I feel like we've been talking about something else for a while. So do we need to come back to it at all, or are there any other further thoughts you have on it?
For now, there's a lot more I need to look into. But it was something like an attitude that kind of sparked it. It kind of didn't sound right, but that was what sparked me to kind of look into it and want to talk about it, not just for me, but maybe for theists who are watching this, or other friends.
Yeah, because I think it's something where, you know, for yourself and for Dali and for me and for many other people in the SC community, this is certainly not an extreme or surprising claim. I think most of us probably, you know, if we figure out what a large number means, probably a lot of us would agree. But I know that there are many theists, at least some that run in apologetic circles, who would disagree and would say that no, that's impossible, because if you're using your critical thinking, you'll agree with me, you must for emotional reasons. So
I
understand the need to, you know, try to support that claim. I get it.
Cool.
But now I want to see a study on it. I love it when the Pew Research Center publishes anytime they publish a new study on religion in America, I'm like, yes, I want to read it. I want to see what it says. What are the updates? So I don't know, but maybe that's mostly just because it seems like it's always good news for my side. My side. We're in a battle.
It's us versus them.
Yeah, I try not to view it that way, but I don't know. When I see the people trying to overthrow the government, like it feels like a battle sometimes. So
it can sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, but just got to remember that's a minority. Most theists aren't out there to try to convert, right, or you know, turn your country into a theocracy. But there are more than I would prefer there to be. So. Dali, anything you have to say or thoughts, or you want to come back in with us? I think we're done with the claim for now.
Yeah.
Okey-doke. Yeah, it's a good claim. Good exploration. Got nice and clear on all your terms and why you'd believe so. And it's held modestly, so calibration, great stuff. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Pew stuff. Gets me well informed about trends.
Yeah, even if you don't take the numbers to be like, you know, with high confidence, the trends, I think you can have pretty high confidence in. Agreed.
Yeah. I'm happy with most of those trends. Yeah. That's all.
Cool. Well, we still got a little bit of time if anybody else wants to jump in and talk about anything else, or if anybody has another claim they'd like to bring.
Banners. Hide card banner. Promotion tickers. Yeah, if somebody wants to jump on in, we gotta have a few more minutes, and I don't think I mind going late. Don't want to go too late.
Yeah, no, I do have to go to work in the morning.
Do you think SE is used as a tool by atheists to recruit more atheists? Yes. SE is also a tool used by vegans to recruit more vegans. And might even be a tool used by theists to recruit more theists. I think SE is a special kind of persuasive because it stands out of the way and allows the person to persuade themselves.
Yeah.
and we
I
try
think
to get our opinion out of it.
Yeah, I think ideally it isn't, but that it is easily adapted to do that. Well, maybe not ideally. I guess it depends on what your ideal is and what your goals are. But I think,
tell me what persuasion means for you.
yeah, I don't think I quite have
Use-
the exact
use the hot
same
button word
definition
you
you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, yeah. To me, persuasion is trying to move somebody with regards to a particular position
Mhm.
closer along the spectrum toward your own position.
Mhm.
That's the definition I would give, and I think I've heard yours, and I think yours is much
I'm
broader,
totally good with
but
yours.
that's okay. Okay.
And in this case, I'm not choosing their claim. I'm choosing to hands off from persuading on their claim and hands on for persuading on critical thinking and good epistemology.
Yeah, I'll get on board with that.
Proselytizing for good critical thinking. I am.
Yep.
That's the thing I want to be persuasive about, and I want to do that by modeling, as well as demonstrating how, in many cases, people use good epistemology for most of the decisions they make in their life. And then sometimes they can recognize when a bad epistemology comes up.
What would you consider bad epistemology?
Everything in the Music Man. If you play the song "There's Trouble in River City," you can just go down a list. That's not the only things that are bad, but everything that the Music Man did was sophistry, was fallacious rhetoric.
Do you want to give us a couple examples for those of us who don't know the Music Man?
There's trouble in River City.
Trouble with the capital T.
Trouble with the capital T, which rhymes with P, and you know what that stands for? Pool. It's the pool hall. That's the trouble. It's just like it's true because it rhymes.
It's like Adam West as Batman solving one of the Riddler's riddles. Like that's that makes me think of
the sophistry.
They're looking for things to blame.
Yeah, and so when I'm trying to convince you using fallacious reasoning, that's when I think sophistry is coming up. And so if you can recognize sophistry, you can recognize what epistemology is based in behind it. You know, what is the thing that makes this true? How did this particular argument reach true? And see if it makes sense for you.
Veronica says God made dirt so it won't hurt.
Right.
We could evaluate that claim.
Yeah, we totally could. Veronica is curious about SC. A huge fan of critical thinking, was Catholic and highly religious, but have been an atheist for many years. Yeah. I've been an atheist since 2008, something like that.
I think I finally accepted it when in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, I probably became comfortable with that designation in 2014, but there were a few years there, and maybe occasionally, depending on how I'm feeling, I flirt with deism and did for a long time, but I functionally. So it's been like 8 years now or something like that.
So Veronica, could you tell me what the straw was that broke your camel's back?
Can you call in Veronica?
Yeah, you can call in or you can just type. Either way, whatever feels good to you. Yeah. So Nate, you were a theist. What was your straw that broke the camel's back? What was that last thing?
I don't know if there was one. It was a slow progression. I can tell you when I thought, oh, I guess I'm that. When I was like, oh, I guess I am an atheist. I guess that's okay to say. I can tell you that. But as far as like if there was a particular thing, I don't think there really was. I think because I'd become some kind of deist for a few years. so there wasn't anything that necessarily convinced me that deism wasn't true at that
Right.
point. It was just that I was like, I don't think I have any reason to have any confidence that there is. And
Yeah.
if there is, it doesn't do anything for me. So why even have the position? Because
Yeah.
it's almost meaningless. Like, so, and similarly, I'm not opposed to being deistic sometimes because I don't know, could be, but I have no reason to have any sort of high confidence in it because it's like totally unfalsifiable. And there's
Yeah.
even if,
Yeah.
like, I think definitionally deism, there's no evidence other than the universe exists. If there's
Right.
one kind of pseudo miracle that I'm okay with saying, hey, that seems like a miracle. It's just that anything exists at all. And so
If we are in a simulation, is that deist? With the god being the admin of a server rack?
probably, at least from our perspective, I suppose,
haven't
as
seen
long as they don't do anything. If they've never interfered with the simulation since they started it, then
Okay,
yeah,
so it's a purist deism, an absolutely non-interfering god.
Yeah, definitionally, I think, but like I said, I don't
Can't rule that
hold a
out.
deist position anymore. So
Yeah.
um,
I completely hold that within my list of possible or
Yeah.
probable cosmologies. No problem.
yeah, it's totally possible. So I won't, So I depending on how one defines hard atheism or strong atheism, if they're including a deism version, then I'm not. If they're not
Mhm.
including deism and are only referring to philosophical, traditional, classical theism, then
Sure.
I am.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm perfectly happy with deist gods.
Yeah.
Doesn't
They're
influence
not
me.
hurting anybody.
Yeah.
They're not involved in. You're talking about God who created the world, but it's not really involved in how it works.
Yeah.
Just like
right.
left it alone.
No interference, no miracles, no answered prayers, not telling you to sacrifice your babies or kill homosexuals.
Stays on their side of the horizon. No problem.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, there was this YouTube video series that I watched from, I don't think the channel was published in years and years, called Evidence, but there was a 3 in there somewhere, and he just went through his whole story of how he became an atheist. And I watched that in like 2014. I watched the whole thing. It was very engaging. Like I was just glued, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I think I can be one of them."
Welcome.
Veronica.
Thanks
Yes.
for calling.
Hello.
Good to see your
Hello.
face.
My phone wouldn't work. I'm sorry.
It's all
I'm
good.
in bed.
Okay.
I've never done this before, so I have no idea what I'm doing. So
Oh,
That's all
no
good.
worries.
So I hear that you deconverted or something in 2008. You used to be Catholic, and now you're an atheist.
oh right, you asked me what was the straw.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was my new husband. He said he was like, oh, that's just ridiculous. I've been in the Navy. I've been all around the world. Every country has different religions, and being a indoctrinated Christian, I didn't really ever consider that. And so I was like, oh wow. I mean, like, of course they all say that that you're the wrong religion and you're going to hell. And
Sure.
you just smooth over that when you're a kid. You just smooth over it and you don't really, think about it. But as an adult, I started to think about it, and then critical thinking set in. So that's really what tipped it for me.
Okay.
Was they can't all be right. So more likely that they're all wrong. And then I came across Christopher Hitchens, and it was on.
I'm curious. Were you already married to your new husband when this conversation happened?
No. We were just newly together. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
So he was
So to say,
kind.
that's like one of those things you would want to have a conversation about before getting married. But some people get married quicker than others sometimes. So all right, I just was curious.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, so
So,
husband and then Hitchens.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Dali.
a husband, comparative religions, and Hitchens. So this falls into Pine Creek theorem, where he's of the mind that people getting romantic entanglements have more to do with I'm I'm paraphrasing wildly, that romantic entanglements change minds about religion a lot of the time. That
Really?
that
Huh.
we get involved with somebody, we start taking their opinion really seriously, we try it on, and we become convinced.
Yeah.
Maybe not all in one go, but
like the closeness or the relationship has a lot to do with it.
yeah.
Well, honestly, I mean, yeah, you do listen to people when you first get together.
Yeah, indeed.
So I did listen, and that was actually a very long time ago, so I don't listen to him anymore. But no, it just made sense. It just made sense, and I was like, oh well, then why this, and then why this, and it just really unraveled very, very quickly. So
yeah, cool. How long
was there a claim? Oh, sorry.
Was there a claim? You can have a
I'm
claim.
backwards. I keep wanting. I can see myself, and I keep wanting to fix my hair, and it's backwards. Sorry.
Let's see. Can I flip that? No, I don't think I easily.
Veronica might be able to. There might be a
It might be
setting
on my end. Yeah,
you
it's
wanna
probably
try,
my
but-
own thing. Like I said, I've never done this, so
You can mirror things as you
I'll
like.
figure it out.
Yeah. We don't want to
I
confuse
hope
you.
to do this. I hope to do this again sometime when I'm like awake and not
I like that.
Yeah.
mentally half gone. Like I can't even make a complete sentence right now. But it was fun to listen to you guys though, and to follow
I feel
along.
you.
For sure.
Yeah.
Was there a claim? Was there something to discuss?
If there's anything, is there anything you want to bring, or something? Maybe I don't know how long you've been listening, but any of the previous topics, if there was sparked a thought that you wanted to evaluate on any of those, or
let me check the chat.
Maybe we should call it a night. And Veronica, I think there
we can
is.
as soon as Veronica's ready.
Yeah, totally up to you,
Call her
Veronica.
as soon as she releases us.
You made it in before midnight, so.
Yeah. Woo. You know what? If you want to just take a couple of seconds, I used to be really, if you want to discuss, I don't know that I have a claim though, but I would like to explore I used to consider myself a pretty heavy anti-theist because I know a lot about religion because I was ingrained in it, and I do find religion to be damaging. There's many reasons for you to be an anti-theist. However, recently I have been finding actual wisdom in ancient writings, and I'm absolutely don't believe it's real. I mean, come on, it's not real. But I think that perhaps it was written to be taken in a literal. I mean, not in a literal way. Like.
Okay.
I kind of closed my eyes a little bit and kind of read some things that people were discussing it was a book. It was an old book I was reading, and they were referencing the Bible, and I was like, oh fuck this is gonna be dumb. And I was like, no, Veronica, let's they're not all dumb. What do you think that they're dumb because they believe in a I do. So I'm trying to work through that. Okay. I'm really trying to, I mean, there's got to be something, so I do believe that there's ancient wisdom, or there is wisdom in ancient texts. And I don't believe like that you get your morality from religion. But so anyway, I'm not rethinking, but I am thinking about, again, like being an anti-theist. It's not that, like, I've never really cared about hurting people's feelings. Well, no, let me take that back. I do not want to hurt people's feelings. I really don't. But I don't mind hurting your feelings if you're going to be in my face and tell me, God's real, it's real. Just fallacious arguments after another. That just makes me want to be just rude to people. But I haven't, and I've just kind of been leaving it alone because I'll just get angry. But it the illogical thinking. That's all. It's like. If you want to say it brings you joy and it gives you this or does that, I mean, I can almost be at the point where I can almost be okay with other people. Like if people want to listen to country music, okay, like
my wife and I
don't
love
make
country
me
music.
do it.
It's all this nostalgia.
Oh, if you like old country music, Dali, by the way, real quick sidebar. I don't know if you heard about Rhett McLaughlin from Rhett and Link, the Good Mythical
Okay.
Morning. There was a big thing about their deconstruction story when they came out a couple of years ago as
Mhm.
no longer being Christian. He just released an album. It's called, the stage name is James and the Shame. The entire album is like a leaving religion deconstruction story, and it's like old school Merle Haggard kind of bluesy country bluegrass. Is great. I've listened to it a bunch of times. James and the Shame. If you want to, as I got my leaving
Christians
religion
don't play
playlist in.
Anyway, yeah. Okay, cool. So Rhett and something country music.
Yes, country music. If you like it, and you
So-
like some
That's
religious
Good Mythical
stuff.
Morning.
Yeah, it's one of the guys from that show. So,
Okay.
but anyway,
So-
oh, go ahead, Dali.
You were going to do the same thing I think I was. Would say, do you like this claim? And can we talk about the claim there's wisdom in ancient texts?
There you go. That's fun.
Okay. What does wisdom mean in this context?
Let's see. Probably. Well, I don't want to say absolute truth, but yeah. How would you define that? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. I'm really tired.
That's fine. How about ancient texts? How old does something need to be to qualify? Or is this a claim about a specific subset of ancient texts?
Well, if you know what, let's just keep it simple. Let's just say the Bible.
Okay. There's
That's
wisdom in the
easier.
Bible. Okay.
Yeah, that's an easier claim. Oh, I can't believe I'm saying that.
Is this a 66 or a 77 or a 74 book Bible? I'm wondering which one. Is this
I don't
like
know.
the Catholic or the Protestant Bible or?
When I know that there's some Catholic Bible, but we had the Good News Bible, and it was
Okay.
purely like the New Testament. And then when I went to Protestant high school, we had the King James version. We had the NIV, and
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I was
So
highly
I'm gonna assume
Protestant
we're
as well.
talking about the basic Old and New Testament 66 books.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Something like that. All right.
Yeah.
So does this, when we say is wisdom, is this all of it has wisdom? Some of it has wisdom. There's some wisdom in it. Or a little bit.
That there is wisdom to be found in there. That it's
Okay.
not all nonsense and garbage, and that it's not worthless. Some atheists and anti-theists can very easily just write it off as complete garbage, not completely worthless. And I'm actually thinking that there's actually some good stuff in there.
Okay. Could you give me an example of good stuff? Doesn't have to be the best.
No, I can't. No, I can't.
Okay.
No, I can't, because literally this happened last night, and I was reading a book from 1944 by Neville called, I think it was called "The Feeling Is the Secret."
Okay.
And so I would have to go back in there.
Okay.
It was talking about like mystical things, and it was saying like there's no way. I'm sorry. I don't have exactly what it was saying, but it was saying something about like the Father and the Son and this and that. And when I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense, because of obviously there's not a God and a Son. But when I was like, oh, if you think about this and you forget about all that, no, it's not. And you think about like what they're actually saying, it was like it was about it like extension.
Yeah, I'm curious about how you're thinking of wisdom. Like I was thinking about a really simple, short, sweet example. Like, you just tell me if this is wisdom or not. Okay.
Okay.
Love your neighbor as yourself. Does that count as wisdom, or does it have to be something more esoteric or mystical?
Oh, no, that's not. I guess I should say
Profundity? Profound?
No, I was going to say like profound wisdom or something, but then I was like, no, maybe we should just claim change the claim to say that the Bible isn't completely worthless because I don't know. I haven't, like maybe there's like, they may have put some things together in there in a way that, I mean, there's lots of books to read, right? So you could get good ideas, good morals from a story.
Okay.
I guess there's just stuff there could be good stuff in there that I refused to listen to because I was too stuck on this isn't real. You're talking about a magic dude in the sky. And I'm not believing this. And you're talking about things that are invisible. And so I'm just rethinking my, like, you know what, they might have been, like, I think I'm feeling bad. Like, am I just assuming that I'm rethinking, do I think that all Christians are stupid? I mean, that's a terrible, like, I'm just thinking about myself. Do I really think that? Because you got to be stupid to believe in something, like, so, I mean, of course I don't really think that, but in my heart, like.
Do you think you were stupid when you believed? Do you think you became more intelligent when you left, or were you always the same level of intelligence, just maybe with new information? Sorry, I'm messaging.
Yes, you are.
No, I guess I am differentiating myself from people who, when they are shown the evidence or the things that are just like, well, this is why, they double down and they're like, no. Like when I saw, like, the first crack of evidence of this is, I was like, oh, I tore it all apart. Like it wasn't that I was more.
Maybe a better term would be like willfully ignorant or something rather than stupid. Do you think would you agree that might be better? Like or stubborn?
I know a lot of very intelligent, unwise people.
Yeah.
Especially in computer programming.
Okay. Well, I don't know about that.
That's okay. I'm just making the point that somebody can be very intelligent while being unwise.
Yeah.
And I think that I was very intelligent and unwise while I was a theist for the first 40 years.
Oh, I see. Okay. I see what you're saying. Sure. Well, that's something, I mean, that's just something that I should think about when I catch myself thinking. Do you really think that they're stupid? Because, gee, Veronica, were you stupid when you were a Christian? No, I was just indoctrinated,
Yeah, I think it's really important to keep that in mind and be charitable toward people we disagree with, right? Because you can have a lot better conversations being charitable.
Yeah.
I would love to pick this up. Not necessarily that I'm trying to end, but I would love to have you back as a ringer caller, someone we're starting with on a different show.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. I've watched a handful
ringer
of your
just means
videos.
first caller, somebody who starts the show with us, knows when the show's coming on and starts the show with us. Because I would love to go through the Bible with you a little bit, skip a stone across the top of it, and see if we can find some examples of the best stories or the best pieces of wisdom.
Well, I can
just as an exercise of can we find ourselves able to find the good in something that we don't like?
Yeah,
not
just
that I'm
like
saying I
open
don't
it.
like or do like. I've become very neutral about the Bible, and I knew a lot about it. So it's one of the advantages. It's one of these skills I like to pull out of the box.
Oh, dude, you know what we could do? We could pull something that's like just obviously horrendous and try to find the beauty in it.
Sure. Genesis 34, Genesis 38.
I don't.
Don't worry about it. Genesis 19, Judges 19. Sorry, I'm keep going.
Hey, I didn't have to memorize verses. I did not have to memorize.
Those
verses.
are whole chapters. Don't worry about it. Those are like four of my
full chapters.
Favorite. Yeah, these are stories.
That's your favorite.
I'm saying these are my favorite
examples.
My favorite examples of reprehensible stories.
Oh, okay.
Genesis 34, 38, 19, Judges 19.
Okay,
Yeah,
I thought you meant in a row, like a
No, I mean I can call out the ones that
consecutively.
are obviously really bad, and we can skip around those and say obviously that's not pass. But we could skip a stone across the top of it and say which of these stories are we likely to find good, and then we could check them out.
Yeah.
I don't mean read the whole Bible or anything. I just mean
No.
the stories.
I would love to look at something and dig into it and unpack it.
Yeah,
That
that'd
would
be
be
fun. And just look for some of that wisdom. Let's just say we can do a study and figure out. I don't mean formal, big, huge study. I mean, spend a half an hour.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Just bounce around a bit.
Well, sure. I mean, I was thinking that I could look up that where I was reading.
Yeah.
Look
The
up
one
verses
the example you were thinking
from
of
the book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can do that and have it all.
Yeah, and I would say also
prepared.
to just think a little bit more about. We already talked about it a little bit, but think a little bit more about what you mean by wisdom, or do you want to bring a slightly different claim, or just clarify that term a little bit more? And that could be really good. That could be a really fun conversation.
I mean, maybe it'll come up again and come around. It's not. This is the first time I've ever even talked about anything.
No, that's good. The exploration is good. That's fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm open, but I don't know. You tell me.
Okay. So I want you to imagine me with juggling balls. I'm juggling lessons at gmail.com. So hit me up and we'll coordinate and make it work.
At Gmail. Okay.
Yeah. Juggling lessons at Gmail. And let's figure it out and we'll make a show of it.
Okay.
Because this is a fun conversation. I love the idea of combing through the Bible for the best stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to steel man to a theist. What are the best nuggets from the Bible? That's something I don't have that list right now. I want that list.
Well, okay.
Amos,
now wait a minute. Maybe
Amos,
I misunderstood.
The whole book.
Mm-hmm.
Amos is good. Is that what you're saying?
Amos, yeah, or maybe it was Hosea.
The book of Amos or the book of Hosea.
One of them really cares a lot about the widow and the orphan and the stranger and the refugee. Like those, I don't remember which one of them is. It was one of those two. I'd have to look. It was either Amos or Hosea, but that's a good one. A lot of social justice.
Okay. Well, maybe I misunderstood a little bit.
I
was thinking that you wanted to take.
Go ahead.
I was thinking that we would take something that's obviously horrendous. And see what the fuck they were talking about. What was their point? There's got to be something good in here.
Okay, sure.
That sounds like fun too.
It's a holy book. Either way. So
we can grab the worst things and try to find the best things in them. Happy to go down that road.
Yeah, and vice versa. I'm happy to do your thing too. I just wanted to let you know though that I was thinking that it's a holy book, right? There's supposed to be good things in it. So if they put a horrendous story in there, what was the point of it? So I just think I'm just coming to the realization there might be hidden. Well, that sounds stupid. I was gonna say like hidden truths, but I only mean hidden from me because I was resistant to. Because when I was a kid and stuff, I just believed everything. I just believed everything because they told me, and then it just doesn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't assume that there's always going to be something profound or mystical. Sometimes it's just that it's a different culture, different time. They thought of things differently too. So I really like
Steel Man the
Bible study.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Steel Man the Bible.
Yep.
Yeah, that SE heavy lifting. Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of great resources for if you want to do like a unbiased kind of secular Bible study. There's a ton out there.
I don't want to.
Oh, that's okay.
That's okay. No,
not for everybody. It doesn't have to be your hobby.
I think I saw something on YouTube that was like, "Can you be a Christian atheist?"
Yes.
An atheistic Christian. Was that you guys or someone?
No, that was.
Are you familiar with that?
Original. And let me share. Let's.
Who'd you say it was?
Isith Original, she's connected with Logict, if you're familiar with his channel, and she was covering somebody who was making the claim to be a Christian atheist, somebody who was getting all the benefits of the noble truth of it without believing the fundamentals that most people say that you need to believe in order to be a Christian.
That's interesting.
Oh, so they're just she's just cherry picking. So she's just cherry picking, and
the person making the claim, I think, was kind of going under the noble truth notion that she didn't believe the details of the claims, but she liked everything else about the Christianity enough. She wanted to stay in and believe the non-miraculous parts, something like that. I'm reviewing
that'd be interesting.
Tomorrow at 1 p.m. my time.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
oh, that'd be really fun.
Yeah, I'd say cherry pick away. You know.
Oh yeah, sure.
I mean, just like if you're reading like the Iliad and the Odyssey, you know, you can pick out the stuff that Odysseus does that you think, hey, that's heroic. You can look at some things the characters say that wasn't heroic. That was bad. That's okay. So I'm all for doing that with literature.
Well, sure, that's great. But if you're a Christian, though, aren't you supposed to believe that the Bible is true and that everything
depends on the Christian?
Yeah, well, the kind of Christian that I was, we were supposed to believe that everything was.
Yeah.
This is the show tomorrow at 1 with Fanny and
awesome. All right. Well, hey, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it.
It was fun. I will watch more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I will email you.
Thank you.
Yes. Email Dali because I would like to see that conversation. I think that would be interesting.
Okay.
So
that'll be fun.
All right.
So let's have the AI
juggling lessons
at gmail.com. Yeah.
Okay.
If we all wave, it'll end the broadcast. We all have to wave for the AI. Thank you.